Welcome back to Scavenger Workshop. This here is our Scavenger Astromech ankles, and I'm going to show you guys how to assemble it. No, we are not getting into the business of making 3D prints. However, we will be adding 3D printable files to our Patreon for our supporters. And the reason we're doing that is to allow them to do some of the assembly and some of the pre-work prior to actually getting it done in aluminum, so they can just get a feel for the assembly process, and they can do a few things like countersinking, because there's going to be a lot of countersinking that needs to be done. You can do this on the 3D printed files if you print them at 100%. So you can do a lot of test work prior to doing it. So those will be available for those who are supporting us. It's a little extra work on our end, but we try and figure out a way to give a little something back. Now, as always, all of our DFX files for the water jet cut will be free to the public. We're not going to hold anything back or paywall anything other than some of the, content that we make, like behind the scenes stuff that we're going to provide to our patrons. So that being said, let's get started. So you're going to get all these plates, and the way that it's going to assemble is once you countersink these holes, you're going to put a bolt through them like this, right? And flip it over, and then you're going to look for this piece here, right? It's the one with the small holes. And then as you're assembling these, you want to skim it on the inside with the metal glue, just so that way it holds together pretty tightly. Then you're going to put these nuts on here, and you want to make sure that they're good and tight, so that way it squeezes the glue together. And once we add the rest of the plates, you want to make sure that you use some C-clamps and clamp it together, so that way and give it 24 hours for the glue to set in, So go ahead and add these plates here. All right. And at this point right here, you want to grab these pieces here, and these pieces are going to go in the sides like this here, right? Make sure that these holes here are up, okay? So go ahead and lock these pieces in like that. And at this point right here, this is where you're going to start adding these little pieces. Now, what makes these little pieces unique is when you add them, it's going to leave a little channel, and this little channel is very important right here. This channel is where your wire is going to go through the leg and through the ankle. That's going to connect up your drive system, right? So there's a total of 3. We may change this out to make the gap a little smaller and add another different plate, but as of right now, this is how we have it configured. Okay, you want to glue these together as well. Okay, after you do that, you want to take plate 8 and 9, right? Sometimes it's good to get another set of these couplers, put them in here, and then screw the screw all the way through to go into the other coupler. That'll allow the alignment, because these are cut in a hex, that'll keep the alignment straight. And then C-clamp these and let it cure for about 24 hours, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and remove these, right? At this point, we want to go ahead and add the top plate here, right? This is one of the ones that is going to keep everything aligned. And then finally, this plate here, okay? Now, the biggest problem when we were developing this was trying to figure out a way that everything would come together and hold tight. So we created this interlocking system between two plates because we didn't have a whole lot of room to work with. We had to figure out a way to get them to interlock, right? And the way we did that was we have these screw holes right here, and then in here, this where the slot is, there's a little square pocket where these nuts would fit in there. Okay, I didn't put them in there because I didn't want them to jiggle around. And ideally these parts would be glued, right? By now they would be solidly glued. So at this point there would be nuts in there. Then we put this piece on right here. See, it has these two little screws in them right here. Let me just move these parts right from mine because they're going to keep falling. So I'm going to remove those temporarily. So this piece is going to go down here like this, snap together, and then we're going to go ahead and put the other piece on the other side, right? Just like this. And there's going to be glue holding this stuff together as well. All right, so now that I got that on there, let me go ahead and put the rest of this stuff back in place so that way you can see, right? And then I'll explain how everything's held together. So let's see, 5, 5, 6, 6, that's 7. 7, 7. And then these plates. Like I said, at this point, these parts would be glued in, so they wouldn't be sliding around like they are for me now. And then you would have, these holes would be countersunk as well. Like that. And then you would have your long bolts that go through here, pulling the plates together, right? So here's how the side looks. Bolts here and here. These would be countersunk as well. So the bolts would be flush. And like I said, it would benefit you to 3D print these beforehand and do a practice assembly, you know? But at this point right here, as you can see, your wire hole, everything comes together really nicely. Once it's glued and the bolts are down, locked in tight, you can go ahead and skim this and skim all the bolt heads and then paint it just like we did with the legs. As you can see on the inside, there's a nice little fit. Let me go ahead and pull out a leg and show you how it looks when it's tied together. This is the Scavenger leg, as you can see. There it is right there. See the bolt holes lined up so that way it locks in. As you can see, it's right underneath the surface of those two plates. So we didn't have a whole lot of room to make it work together, but there's enough for it to fit. There it is. All right. You're probably wondering how this is going to be held together to where this plate is not going to come off over time. Well, the way we do it is we're going to use a locking bolt. As long as these plates are bolted together right here, they cannot pull apart because we have these little keyed slots on both ends right here that you're gonna skim over with putty and then paint it, but they're never gonna come apart. And the way we hold them together is with these. We have these countersunk nuts here, and we have the countersunk bolts. When they're together, they're flush on either side right here. So once these are going to be on the inside right here, these are going to be on the outside. You're going to skim over them with putty, they're going to disappear, you know, and that's on here, 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 and here. Same on the other side. That keeps all this together so that way it's nice and solid. That's it right there. So, and this is how it looks on this side. That's where your wires are going to come through. This is where your ankle is going to bolt to your droid, your foot shell. So, it took us a while to figure out a way of doing this because the uniqueness of the way this is designed. We did not have a whole lot of room to work with on the inside. But that's it. Hope you guys enjoy it. Until next time, peace out.